On October 14, 2011, inside Olympus Corporation's Tokyo headquarters, an 8-minute meeting ended a man's career. Michael Woodford, a 30-year company veteran who'd risen from salesman to CEO, sat in a boardroom as every director raised their hand to fire him. He wasn't allowed to speak. He wasn't allowed to vote. 2 weeks. That's how long he'd been chief executive before the board executed him. His offense was asking one question nobody wanted answered. Where did $1.7 billion go? What investigators would uncover was no simple bookkeeping error. This fraud had been running for over 20 years, routed through shell companies in the Cayman Islands, banks in Liechtenstein and Singapore, hidden behind inflated acquisitions of companies making cookware and health supplements. When the dust settled, $4.9 billion was unaccounted for. Olympus stock collapsed 80%. And the whistleblower was fleeing Japan, fearing for his life. But the deeper question isn't how one company hid this much for this long. It's how nobody noticed. To grasp why this scandal stunned the world, you need to understand what Olympus meant. Founded in 1919 by Takeshi Yamashita, the company began manufacturing microscopes. By the 1950s, it had invented the gastro camera, precursor to the modern endoscope, and changed medicine forever. For a century, Olympus was synonymous with Japanese precision and resilience. It survived the Great Kanto earthquake, World War II, and decades of economic turbulence. By 2011, it employed 40,000 people, posted revenues exceeding $10 billion, and dominated over 70% of the global endoscope market. It sat on the Nikkei 225. Auditors signed off year after year. That institutional reputation, earned across generations, became the shield behind which the fraud would hide. In 1985, the Plaza Accord sent the yen soaring and gutted Japanese export profits. Olympus's operating income halved. So leadership made a fateful choice: gamble back to health. President Toshiro Shimoyama told the Nikkei Daily the company needed Zytec, financial engineering, to survive. Finance officials Hideo Yamada and Hisashi Mori poured money into derivatives and currency swaps. When Tokyo's bubble burst in 1990, those bets went catastrophically wrong. By the late 1990s, accumulated losses reached roughly 100 billion yen. Rather than disclose them, Olympus used tabashi, a practice of shuffling bad assets off the balance sheet into offshore funds. Think of it as stuffing overdue bills into a locked drawer and telling everyone you're debt-free. Then in 1997, Japan changed its accounting rules to require fair value reporting. The drawer was about to be opened, so Olympus built something more elaborate: dummy entities in the Cayman Islands, Liechtenstein, and Singapore to quarantine toxic assets using government bonds as collateral. To actually eliminate the losses, Olympus bought companies at absurdly inflated prices. 3 obscure Japanese firms, a waste recycler, a cookware maker, and a supplement company, were acquired for a combined $773 million, despite being worth a fraction of that. The overpayment flowed back to retire the hidden debts, recorded on paper as goodwill to be written down over time. The crown jewel was the 2008 acquisition of British firm Gyrus Group for $2.2 billion. On top of that, Olympus paid a $687 million advisory fee to 2 tiny firms linked to former Nomura banker Akio Nakagawa. Normal advisory fees run 1% to 2%. This was 35%, the largest M&A advisory payment in corporate history. Red flags. The signs were not subtle. In 1991, Olympus appeared on a list of companies receiving illegal loss compensation from Yamachi Securities. In 1998, shares plunged 11% on rumors of derivative losses, rumors the company denied before announcing record profits. It lost billions in a Ponzi scheme. Its leverage ranked in the top 2% of Japan's largest companies. When auditors at KPMG questioned the gyrus fees, Olympus didn't answer. It replaced KPMG with Ernst & Young. And when Facta, a small Japanese magazine, published detailed allegations in July 2011, Woodford walked into the office expecting alarm. Nobody said a word. Chairman Kikukawa had ordered staff not to tell him. Japanese corporate culture of this era was defined by deference. You did not question superiors. Consensus was sacred. That created a perfect incubator for fraud. The inner circle, Kikukawa, Mori, Yamada, operated with no meaningful oversight. Acquisitions were controlled by a tiny group. Board members rubber-stamped what they didn't understand. Then there was the infrastructure of complicity. Former Nomura brokers turned consultants had built careers helping firms perform financial acrobatics. Western banks had signed contracts with Olympus as early as 1992 to shift losses into trusts. Tabashi wasn't an Olympus invention, it was an industry. The entire ecosystem was built to look the other way. Woodford didn't go quietly. After his firing, he took a bus to the airport, flew to London, and handed his files to the Serious Fraud Office. He contacted the FBI. He went to the press. On November 8, 2011, Olympus admitted to inappropriate accounting, stretching back over 20 years. Shares cratered. Investigations opened across Japan, the UK, and the US. In February 2012, prosecutors arrested 7 individuals, including Kikukawa, Mori, and Yamada. Olympus narrowly avoided delisting by filing 5 years of corrected statements hours before deadline. Olympus shed 2,700 jobs. 40% of its manufacturing plants were shuttered. Shareholders watched the stock lose 80% of its value virtually overnight. In 2017, 6 former executives were ordered to pay $529 million in damages. In 2019, a shareholder lawsuit produced a record $594 million judgment, the largest of its kind in Japanese history. Kikukawa, Mori, and Yamada received suspended prison sentences. The company survived, but its workforce, shareholders, and century-old reputation absorbed the blow. Psychological autopsy. It would be too simple to call this greed. The original sin was fear, fear of appearing weak, of admitting failure, of losing face. When Olympus first gambled in the 1980s, the motive was survival. When those gambles failed, the motive became concealment. And once concealment started, it created its own gravity. Kikukawa didn't invent the fraud, he inherited it. By the time he became president in 2001, the losses were already massive. He could have disclosed them. Instead, he protected the institution's image and his position within it. The independent panel noted the cover-up was carried out with the company's best interests at heart. These weren't men who saw themselves as criminals. They saw themselves as guardians. Each year the fraud, Olympus scandal didn't happen because a few bad actors decided to steal. It happened because cultural norms, audit failures, regulatory gaps, and the human instinct to avoid painful truths aligned in exactly the wrong way. Michael Woodford spent 3 decades inside the company and was the only person willing to ask the obvious question. The system's response was to remove him, not the fraud. That pattern repeats across every financial scandal in history. The fraud is never the hardest thing to find. The hardest thing is someone willing to say it out loud. And when they do, the institution's first reflex is almost never gratitude. It's self-preservation. Olympus still exists. Its stock recovered, its endoscopes fill hospitals worldwide. But the scar is permanent, a quiet reminder that reputation, however earned, is never a guarantee of integrity. The numbers always come due. The only variable is who's left holding the bill.